wieners? Why do we have to wait for the wieners?
That's like one of those
Seashells.
Seashells.
Why do we have to wait for wieners? Why do we have to wait for wieners? Wieners, floppy wieners, 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 floppy, floppy, floppy wieners.
Why do we have to wait for wieners?
Why do we have to wait for wieners? Why do we have to wait for wieners?
Toy boats.
Diction is done with the tip of the tongue and the teeth. Yeah, we got levels. We have levels. We have levels.
Hello.
Well, hello and welcome to Idiots with Instruments, the show that follows Red Hot Rebellion as we write and record our brand new album while interviewing very fancy people in the music industry about all kinds of things that make the world go round. My name is Jim Tremontina. I am the bass player and lead vocalist of Red Hot Rebellion.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Doug, and I play guitar.
Hey, I'm Andres, and I play the drums and sing.
That's
occasionally.
Right. You do, and you have a wicked sweet poom.
I do. I have a very uncomfortable to look at mustache.
Yeah.
It's
got
very
a mind of a
thick.
Yeah. If anyone has a comb, better known as a poom broom, please send it to us, care of Walla Walla, Washington, P.O. Box 93. And we'll give it to Andres so he can brush that wicked poom.
Is that a thing that exists?
Yeah.
Send it to Cincinnati, Arkansas.
Yeah.
Where are the places?
There are many Cincinnatis we learned today.
Yeah.
There's 5 of them. But we're not here to talk about that. What we're here to talk about today is something that a lot of listeners had told us they were interested in, which was getting their music on playlists on Spotify.
Yeah.
Have you heard of the Spotify, Andres? Do you know what it is?
I have.
It's one of them their streaming machines.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
it's not an actual machine, though.
It's many machines, probably.
Right.
It's a fuck ton of computers.
Right.
And servers doing all that fancy stuff. So, yeah.
Doug knows about it.
Doug knows all about it. Doug's a computer man. Mm-hmm. He's some kind of weirdo. So, yeah, we have an interview with George Goodrich, who is an author and CEO of a really fancy company that's their job. That's what they do. They curate playlists, will help curators who curate playlists get the right music on there, and they also help artists get their music on playlists. So what do you say we run that interview right now? Joining us today is George Goodrich, the CEO of Playlist Push, a service that helps independent artists get their music on playlists and gives curators a way to monetize their playlist while discovering new music. He is also the author of the book, The Slotify Method, How to Use Spotify Playlist to Launch Your Career in Music, which dives into the growing importance of Spotify as a tool for emerging artists. George, welcome to Idiots with Instruments. How are you today, sir?
Good. Great to be here. Awesome intro, by the way. That was
nice.
I was like, is he talking about me?
Nice.
He was.
Yeah, I'm going
on the internet.
I'm going for an award for best intro maker. So
that's probably number 1 at this point.
Sweet.
Wow.
We're going to have to write a good intro for your intro award.
Yeah, right. That's awesome. So I guess if we could, let's talk a little bit about Spotify and what, like, is it the best platform for independent artists right now? Like, what's your opinion?
I think it's slowly getting there. There's kind of like a divergence between the old school guys that are still angry that Spotify pays next to nothing per stream, and then there's a lot of the younger artists that are taking advantage of it. Getting on playlists and, paying their rent and then some. So I think it's still a mix. And now that they're a publicly traded company, I think that has, changed a few viewpoints as well. But, from what I've seen hundreds of artists just be put on the map and launch their careers from utilizing Spotify and investing their time there.
Yeah, and like one of the things that seems to be all the rage nowadays is getting your music on a playlist. Like they want like the Spotify curated playlist or be on the playlist from a semi-famous curator. Is sort of like playlists now kind of like what music blogs were, several years ago, where people are going to discover new music, and that's why so much focus is on them nowadays?
Yeah, I think it's getting there. I think just with the way things have shifted in the way people are consuming content. People just, they're not clicking through to blog posts and reading about, where someone grew up and, what their mom's maiden name is, and then clicking through to a link to their music, and then finally listening to the song, right? And maybe even becoming a fan after being put through all that abuse. On Spotify, if you're on a playlist, you basically just directly get it into people's ears, right?
Right.
There's not a lot of hunting around. And, when I was in college, music blogs were huge. Right. It was really hard to find and dig up new music. But now there's so many different outlets and ways to do that. And playlists are definitely one of them. If you're an avid Spotify user, that's probably the main way that you find and consume content. I know it is for me, at least, whether it's the personalized playlist, which can be triggered from gaining momentum on your own, or it's a user-generated playlist, or if you're lucky enough, an editorial playlist.
Right. Yeah, I know. I find so many new bands on my Discovery Weekly. I'm really impressed by how they're artificial intelligence knows I'm going to like this song, and I'm like, some bitch, I do. But
there's no way I'm going to like this. This song is great.
Yeah, this is going to be awful. So what's the process for connecting with a Spotify playlist curator? Is there a set 1, 2, 3, 4 for people to follow, or is it kind of what is your method? What is the Slotify method? Let's start there.
Yeah, it kind of got dubbed. It was just kind of a random name, but it's all about just getting in the slot. Finding a slot for your music in a playlist. So that was kind of what birthed it, but it was mainly just from finding playlists and then reaching out and getting your music on those playlists, or just getting your music into a playlist in general. How you do that, there's a few different ways. The first way would be through your distributor. So even though Spotify's made it to where Spotify, on the Spotify artist portal, you can submit your song directly to the editorial playlist, it's still a really good tool if you can find a distributor that has a tight connection with Spotify and the editorial team, so they're pitching on your behalf. But it's still really hard to do, and I think a lot of that is still going to come down to what listeners are doing when they're listening to your music. Are they saving it? Are they adding it to their own playlist? Right. All those things can compile into how far the song can go. So you do that by getting on smaller user-generated playlists where you're going to organically get your music out there to listeners that are already on the platform. And if it can do well from there, there's a good chance it can at least start getting bumped up into Discover Weekly and then Release Radar when you're coming out with new music.
Right. And then, are the distributors now kind of jumping over labels because since Spotify is such a huge listening platform, and before you would have a label talk to a music plugger for radio, and the radio plugger would go and try to get the song on the radio. But now it seems like the distributors are that first point of contact between Spotify and the listening public. So is that accurate, or did I just make shit up there?
No. I think you're right. I think there's so many distributors now, and there's so many different options, and a lot of them are very easy to use, and they take a small percentage all the way down to 5%. Right. And with the success of artists kind of making their own way and not signing to a major label, they're kind of just proving the case more and more that you don't need to give away 70% or 60% or whatever terrible deal you get with a label, because you can just kind of find different services to market your music, like Playlist Push, or there's a lot of different options out there for artists to build email lists, create their own website very easily, run ads on Facebook. So I think we're kind of entering the era in the well-educated indie artists, where we used to kind of just be the indie artist that would make the music and then just find someone to do all the complicated shit for them.
Right. Yeah. It's I see a lot of indie artists now are direct email marketers. Basically, they're using sales funnels. They're using lead magnets and stuff. And it's it's kind of. I think it's also with the indie book scene too. They're kind of running parallel, and they're trying to do the things that the majors used to do on like a huge level, but like more directed towards like niche audiences. So like, what are some of the services that like Playlist Push offers for, I guess, artists, and also on the flip side of that for curators? Like, how does one become a curator, and then like also on the artist side? So whichever you want to take first.
Yeah, for sure. So on the artist and label or manager side, whoever's handling the music, we basically we send the music to curators to listen to the song, give feedback. But we do that in a way that there's a high chance that the curator is going to like the music and actually place it on their playlist. Mm-hmm. Number one, the first thing we're doing is we're paying them to listen to the music. And then on their end, when they sign up, let's say the music is like Summer Road Trip, they need to designate what genres they want to hear. So that could be like indie rock and, electronic. So we're only going to send those songs to those curators. So we're not sending jazz to the heavy metal curators, right?
Right.
So, and then on the other end, so on the artist end, when you're setting up the campaign, you're basically selecting which genres you want to send the music to. And then you're paying that set amount based on how many followers and how many playlists we have. And that the prices on that range anywhere from $150 all the way up to $1,000. It just depends on how many curators you want to send the music to. On the curator end, as long as you have a playlist that has 400 followers, there's actually people listening to it, and you're passionate about helping indie artists. You can sign up to Playlist Push, and over time you can earn anywhere from $1 to $10 per song. And yeah, I mean, there's the cool thing about it that I never really think about is the curators that use the platform, because I'm so focused on the artist side. But a lot of our curators, they've been able to quit their jobs driving for Uber, and kind of just other different gigs, like they're either kids in college, and actually kind of starting to live off it, which is really cool.
That's really cool, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So this kind of does sound a little like a music blog replacement, and that's cutting out like the bullshit. It's like instead of them just talking about the music, it's like, hey, these are all the coolest songs, and you trust me because I'm a good tastemaker. I have good taste, so listen to the coolest songs on my playlist. That's really
exactly.
Do you have any like say artists that are both, like say like here's we use your service to like push us on the playlists, and also or we're also interested in being curators in our genre or multiple genres? Is there a way to do both?
Yeah, I think we've kind of just by a product of creation, it's kind of marketed to both sides. So we've had curators who have been on the platform, and a lot of the curators will send us to artists because they'll say, hey, I know this artist. They're either being messaged, or they're receiving music and they think the service is cool, and they see how kind of well built it is and how easy everything is to use, that they want to use it on the artist side. Sometimes they're record labels, sometimes they're artists themselves who have been smart enough to create playlists. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of crossover with the curators running campaigns, and then the artists eventually becoming curators as well.
And then, so like the campaign aspect, is that like a traditional PR campaign, or is that a campaign in a sense that you're pitching music directly at curators that are receptive to that particular genre? And then how long do those campaigns last?
Yeah, so the campaigns are short. They're 2 weeks. Okay. And typically a PR company would take your money and then kind of just bleed you out over a week or over a month or a month or
we're
2
familiar
months, right?
We're familiar with that scenario.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah, so. And I can tell you guys have dealt with that because, and myself, I used to be an artist manager myself. It's like spending $500 or spending $3,000, and then you're kind of just waiting for this feedback, and then you get on one blog that has like no one reading it,
right?
And it really does nothing for the bottom line as far as at least gaining you new fans, or getting any type of return on investment. Right. So I think that's probably been where a lot of people have said, okay, we're going to stop doing this and let's just get our music on some playlists because we know we're at least going to get it out into some human ears, right? Which is kind of the most important part.
Right, yeah, and that's like most artists, that's what they want. We want people to listen to the damn shit. That's why we're making it. And then do you find like that the methods work the same for all different genres, or do like the more obscure ones? Like, I guess if it, like you're in a pretty standard genre like metal or indie rock or electronica or hip hop, you're probably pretty safe. But if you drill down into something real obscure, is it harder?
It can be kind of tricky. You know, a lot of times the genres are just kind of a loose guide for artists to use. You know, they're not super specific, and you know, we don't want to have 1,000 different subgenres so people just get overwhelmed. They're kind of just like a general compass. And then, you know, if people are ever concerned or they don't really know where to go, a lot of time we'll guide people through that. We'll listen to the song. We'll say, hey, you know, if you have a bigger budget, we can send it to these curators. If you have a smaller budget, we could just send it to these guys. And we can kind of work it out that way. But we definitely ran some interesting music. I had no idea how big the Christian worship world was until we started this business, because that is massive. Whether it's Christian rap, you know, the more gospel stuff. So that's been interesting, and those people are great to deal with.
Yeah, I bet. And so you deal with like on a song by song level, right? It's like someone doesn't come to you and like, here's my new album, push the whole thing. Is that right? Yeah.
So we only work singles, and each campaign is 2 weeks. So what we'll do is, as soon as the song goes live on Spotify, we'll send the song out to the curators. They'll get a notification on the platform, and they'll say, you know, so-and-so sent you a song, and they'll listen to it, and they'll get feedback on it. If they add the song to their playlist, we notify you guys immediately, and we send you an email with a link to that playlist. That goes on for 2 weeks. And at the end of the 2 weeks, we give you a full report. So you get a ton of data back as far as exactly what happened each day of the campaign, how many playlists the song got added to, the total amount of followers, the popularity increase of the song on Spotify, and a few other things. And then you also get all the feedback from the curators that added the song, links to their playlists, and then some feedback from curators that may have not added it.
That's cool. And does that like hook into like the Spotify APIs? Is that how you grab all that data, or have you done some real fancy coding to figure that stuff out?
Yeah. So most of it's done through the API, but there's some cool stuff that we built ourselves. My partner, Ludo Helder's amazing software engineer. He's built some really cool stuff that's, you know, makes it as transparent as possible for us as far as what we're actually doing.
That's really cool. So I guess you briefly mentioned like you have to become a curator. You already have to be running playlists that are at least 400 subscribers. Is that right? So, 400 followers. 400 followers. Huh. Okay, that's interesting. So yeah, you're not going to take any Joe Schmuck off the street,
right?
That's
no.
Unless they have 400 friends.
Yeah. I mean. The most important thing for us is people are actually listening to the playlist. So, you know, whether it has 400 followers or 100,000 followers, you know, it's important that you're actually going to gain streams from it if you get on a playlist, which can be one of the trickiest parts about it if you're just kind of doing it yourself.
Yeah.
And
I've seen some other advice recently where for indie bands, it's like, you know, start creating your own playlist of bands that sound like you and then sneak your own music in there to kind of expose yourself.
Yeah.
Expose yourself. Whoa. But, I mean, is that, do you think that's good advice, or is that silly?
Yeah, that's great advice. You guys should definitely be doing that. And then, you know, what you can do is you can actually pin that playlist to your profile. So, you know, if you only have 2 or 3 songs on your profile on Spotify, someone might listen to 1 song or 2 songs, and they might kind of just, you know, navigate out of there. But if you have a cool playlist that has different songs on it, they're more likely to hang around, or at least hopefully continue listening to that list as you kind of bury your music in there.
Gotcha. Yeah. And then what? So the difference between like the official Spotify editorial playlists are those people actually work for Spotify. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah. So those are Spotify owned playlists. They're also known as like the Holy Grail,
right?
You know, because I mean, those are Spotify kind of highlights their own playlists on purpose, for multiple reasons. So, yeah, I mean, if you can get on those playlists, the great thing about that is there's kind of like a trickle down effect. So if you get on one rock playlist, that could trickle down into a smaller rock playlist or like a more specific to your sound. And then you have a higher chance of actually landing on those lists further down the road as you continue to release music.
Right.
There's so much of what Spotify does is based on the data and how people are reacting to the song. I mean, Spotify, obviously, do they have people listening to songs and making playlists? Yeah, but the computers are also doing a lot of that stuff for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all data driven. And then, so is that like a lot? Are the major labels controlling that a lot of times? Like, are there kickbacks involved? Is it like the old days where, Johnny Two Bags with a bag of money goes up to the fancy radio station and says, "Play this new Elvis record. It's good for you," and that kind of thing? Or?
I mean, I can't speak and say that's happening exactly, but it's hard to say that it's not. Just because that's kind of the way things work, especially when you get to that level and you have that kind of money being thrown around.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely something that does happen. But I have no account for it. But it's
a possibility.
I'm sure it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're under legal counsel to say it may or may not happen.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You can neither confirm
nor
nor
deny.
I don't recollect that.
Yeah.
I do not recollect that particular thing.
Sorry to interrupt this broadcast, but someone has to keep the lights on around here. We will return to Idiots with Instruments after a message from this episode's sponsor, Ditto Music.
Ditto Music is an award-winning global music distribution and record label services company, supporting over 150,000 artists and labels worldwide, with 20 offices across the UK, Europe, Australia, Asia, North and Latin America.
Founded by musicians for musicians, Ditto provides distribution, music video, promotional, and label services, offering both 100% royalty and commission-based deals. Artists can start distributing unlimited music for as low as $19 per year.
Ditto Music is also responsible for the innovative product Record Label in a Box, which provides all the tools budding music entrepreneurs need to start and run a successful label, and has helped establish thousands of new independent labels all over the world.
Visit dittomusic.com to start your worldwide music distribution empire for as low as $19 per year. Ditto Music! Ask for it by name! Ditto Music. So what would your advice be, I guess, to like brand new artists who like maybe they're in the studio for the first time, they're recording like an EP or a couple singles, they're just getting their chops ready, they're hitting the road, they're playing clubs, they're building a little bit of a following. Like what's their next step as far as like, trying to get out into the streaming world and get on some of these playlists?
There's a lot. I should probably write a book on it at some point. But no, I mean, I think the real life interaction and, meeting people, whether you guys are playing shows or you're telling people about your music, getting those people onto your Spotify profile, I think is super important and kind of something that's completely overlooked because people think, oh, I do this on the internet, I have to do this on the internet. Where right. I think it's great if, you're doing something at a show, if you can just, pass out little cards that have your Spotify information on it, and so people can find your music and kind of actively follow you. I think that's a big one. I think having good photos and making sure that you have like a polished image is good, obviously, but I think track artwork is also a big one too, because everything is so visual, especially on Spotify and streaming. People are going to see that, and if the track artwork looks like it was made by a 5-year-old, what are the odds of me clicking on that album, right?
Right. Unless that's what you're into.
Yeah, maybe your 5-year-old music savant like Mozart. Mozart.
Yeah.
Don't talk about Mozart and Anders.
No.
So just to reiterate, George did write a book. It was called Slotify Method, How to Use Spotify Playlists to Launch Your Career in Music. And that's available where? Amazon or other retailers?
Yeah, it's on Amazon. Unfortunately, it's only in digital format. But it's on Amazon, but it's also on my website, slotifymethod.com.
Very cool.
Maybe we could do a promo code for like a giveaway for that.
That would be
actually.
fantastic.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, 'cause, I surveyed our listeners not too long ago, and one of the questions that kept coming up is, how do we get on Spotify playlists? How do we get on Spotify playlists? And I'm like, well, we should talk to George.
Right.
And now, man, yeah, if we could work out some kind of like promo code for those fools, we would pass it on happily.
Yeah, let me think about that.
Okay.
But I'll think of something before the end of the show, and we'll throw it up there, and you guys can just grab it for free.
Oh man, that's awesome! Wow.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Super nice.
Yeah, no sweat.
Anders will bake you cookies. He's a
or whatever. I was a baker for 8 years, so professionally.
Oh, nice.
So
oh,
yeah,
wow.
if
no
you
joke.
want,
okay.
yeah, if you want something baked and sent to you, I will do that.
That sounds weird. Well, why don't you?
Yeah, it's super weird.
Why don't you ask your obligatory question to our fine guest?
What did you do before you started this as a job professionally?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I worked for a music distributor. So our main thing was SoundCloud monetization.
Okay.
So we were helping mostly younger people on SoundCloud be able to run ads on their channel in front of their songs. And actually get paid, because Spotify was free, but there was a lot of people there getting a lot of streams and a lot of listens to their music. And then we started eventually distributing people that were on SoundCloud to Spotify, and a few of those people got on official playlists, got millions of streams, got signed to big record labels.
Oh, wow.
And I was kind of like, wow, this is definitely kind of the future, or this is going to be a thing. And that was probably about 2.5 years ago. That was when you could still, email someone at Spotify and have like a 50-50 chance of getting on a playlist.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Now it's
we snoozed and losed on that one.
yeah.
Well, that's like everything.
So yeah, I mean, I was lucky that I had that opportunity and was kind of out in front of it. And then I wrote the ebook, and then people started buying it or reaching out, and then they're like, hey, I like the book, but can I pay you to do this, please? And then it was kind of a nightmare trying to do like consulting for that.
Yeah.
Or just do it by myself. So we eventually built Playlist Push and just kind of started collecting people we knew that on playlists.
That's really interesting.
Nice.
So Playlist Push sprang out of the ebook. Is that right? So
yeah, it did.
Wow.
It was kind of just the natural progression of things. And I didn't really think anything would come from it. I mean, I don't make anything from the book. It's like a couple $100 a month here and there. But yeah, that's definitely kind of been the catalyst to build the next thing. And now it's huge. I mean, I think we've done over 2,000 songs now, or close to 2,000 songs.
Wow. So when did Playlist Push launch? Is it
last June?
Oh wow.
Oh wow, that is very recent.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you've done 2,000 songs in that time.
in just over a year.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it was very, very slow to start. It was
right.
It was $40 for a campaign, and we had like 8 curators. Everything was done by email. I pretty much spent every day just on the phone talking to artists, kind of figuring out what they should do. And now it's kind of it's picked up a little bit. It's been a fun ride.
Did you
awesome.
Did you advertise Playlist Push when it first launched, or was it just all word of mouth?
No, it was mostly word of mouth. I think I've just kind of picked up a knack for blogging and got out in front of blogging about Spotify playlists, kind of how to get on them. And I think that's really helped us out. If people have looked anything up about Spotify playlists, there's a good chance you're going to find something written by me or by someone at Playlist Push. So I think doing that, putting that knowledge out there, and then people finding us that way has been great, because then, people are educated on it already, and I don't have to, sell someone on it, and I don't have to like force someone into doing it. It can just kind of like naturally happen, and they're already aware of the value that they're going to get from it.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, congrats on that,
Cool.
man.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Wow.
Yeah, thanks.
So, in your opinion right now, like, so say a band, we have there's $1,000 budget for like our next release. Would you say split it right down the middle for like, playlist promotion and like physical media to sell at shows, or should you say go all whole hog in the playlist arena, and then just do T-shirts and other merchandise at shows, and just get out there, get in the van and trucking?
Yeah, I think I would definitely get into the playlist stuff right away. And I think the most important thing, and people ask me all the time, like, what should I do with this release? Should I do, one song a month, or I kind of want to do an album? I think the most important thing is to just keep releasing good music on a realistic timeline that you can. And each time make sure you get that music out to as many playlists as you can. And then, I think, you'll be fine. But Spotify it's all about playing the long game. And I think a lot of people sometimes they'll say, "Oh, I just need to get on a playlist, and then I'll get 1 billion streams, and then I'll get a $1 billion label deal." But that's just not how it works. The people that have done well through Playlist Push, they've ran 6 or 7 campaigns. Right. And it's a numbers game. So the more times you're hitting on that algorithm, and you're getting your music out to those people, the higher chance you have of kind of moving up to that next level and starting to gain a large amount of listeners.
Mm-hmm. And then, so you say like 6 or 7 campaigns. Would that be for the same song, or would that be for different songs? Or
no, that'd be like over 6 months or 8 months, or maybe even a year. But it just depends on if you're doing singles or albums. I think. With the streaming landscape, I think a lot more people have just switched to strictly singles, but doing a single, promote it, doing a single, promote it, instead of creating an album and then promoting it and then being like, "Oh, okay, well, shit, now what? It didn't do that well."
Right.
And then, so instead of doing this massive commitment of work, you're more or less just experimenting with each song and hoping you can build on top of the next one.
That's interesting.
Did people ever send you like a full album and they're like, "Hey, we only want to do one song. Can you pick the best one?" Like, do you ever deal with that type of thing, or?
Yeah, and they do that, and then I send it to our interns and I say, "Pick the best song."
Fair enough.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I do that. I do that often. I'll listen to the song and or go through the album and then pick one for them, or I'm happy to do that for you guys as well.
Oh,
nice. Yeah, because like the whole, I don't know how much you know about this crazy little podcast, but the premise behind it is we're writing a new album pretty much live in the studio with the listeners.
Yes.
And this is part of the journey. Yeah, I love it.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And part of the journey is like exploring different like distribution methods and
how to do it without failing. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, because we've had 2 albums, 1 EP, 4 singles. Did we do 4 singles last year?
Like
so
that.
we've done a little bit of everything. So
2 comic books.
yeah, 2 comic books.
Yeah.
Nice.
A concept album.
Yeah. Now we got the podcast.
Now we have a podcast. So we're kind of like jumping around media and stuff. But I think it's mostly because we have ADHD. It's not.
Well, I think
and we're having fun.
I think it's good. I think we're trying to experiment with different mediums aside from music. I mean, music is always the main focus, but it's kind of like we've all been playing music forever with the same results, dive bars. You know?
Yeah.
So
Right.
I don't know. We've opened for some pretty fancy folks,
We
but
have,
I guess,
absolutely.
but also like part of this like project with the podcast is also like spreading knowledge and sharing new ideas with
Right.
people, and like this is So we really appreciate your insight.
Yeah.
There was a question I started with that whole rambling, and I don't even remember what it was. What was I talking about?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I was wondering, did you...
No, I think you guys were just kind of asking, what things you should be doing out of the gate, or
Right.
Yeah.
or kind of like the main. Yeah, I mean, but I think I answered that.
You sure did. You sure did.
Do you play any instruments, or have you...
I don't.
Are you-
I owned a drum set when I was a kid, but
nice.
I've always been on the business side of it. It's always been kind of my mission to help indie artists and kind of help move their art forward. And been doing that for 5 years on and off, but just now started actually making some money doing it, which is cool.
That's
That's awesome.
So yeah, I think eventually, Playlist Push will grow and evolve, and we'll be able to help more people out, kind of on a bigger scale, hopefully.
Do you have an exit strategy? Are you looking to sell out to Amazon or someone cool like that?
No, I don't have a plan to sell it. I would like to create it into maybe some sort of label component of the business, but just because we have so many people sending us music, and so many of them are talented, but don't necessarily have a large budget
Right.
to really put behind the music. So, I think we're working on that, and maybe creating another service similar to Playlist Push that can, get the music out to different influencers across the internet, something like that. But
Yeah.
no definite plans.
That's really
Well, that
cool.
sounds rad.
Yeah. Are you interested?
Yeah, I'm very interested. I mean, isn't that...
Well, follow me on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of why
that's-
we're talking to you,
That's a
right?
good question. Where can we
We're all-
follow you on the old interwebs there? Are you on the Twitter, the Facebook?
Twitter's probably best. It's Demo Drop George. So DEMODROP, and then George.
George.
Yeah, don't add me on Facebook, please.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Faceplace is a wasteland these
Yeah.
days. Yeah, I'm actually impressed with your. We actually connected in LinkedIn, and I've never really had any successful LinkedIn connections. So, yay for LinkedIn! Thanks for hooking me up with George.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think LinkedIn's good. As far as musicians, I think there could be something there. I just don't really know what it is. But I think for business, it's been great.
Yeah, I
definitely met some great people. I mean, met you guys, but
Yeah. That's so
Aw.
nice. Yeah, I mainly use it because I do a lot of music licensing for film and TV and video games, and that's
Right, yep.
that's my main source for a lot of contacts, and but beyond that, yeah, but it seems like the platform's growing. I mean, I need to take a better look at it. Now we're doing a show on LinkedIn. They got enough money.
Yeah, they're doing fine.
Let's talk about Playlist Push. So what haven't I asked you that you think is really important that people should know about Playlist Push, or
It's a solid question.
yeah, or just George in general? How you doing, George? What's up?
Yeah, I'm doing great. As far as what you should be doing, yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. I would, I think the distributor thing is big, and I think it's important to find a good one and not jump around, because I think it's easy to have ADD and, release a song or release an album with a distributor and say, oh, they didn't get us on a playlist, we got to go to a new distributor, we're out of here. And everyone does that. But I think if you find a good one, double down on them, and I think that's how you're going to really grow long term, and make sure they have some pipes if you are going to give them any type of percentage from the work.
Right.
Yeah.
Are there any that
patient.
you say steer away from, or are you under non-disclosure agreements to not badmouth anybody? Since you used to be in the biz,
Steer away from.
or are there any
I mean,
preferred? Do you like say a new artist comes, he's like, I don't even know what to do with this. How do I distribute it? What are some that you suggest to use?
I think CD Baby is really good. I think they do a great job of, getting your music out there. I mean, at their core, they all do the same thing. They just get your music in the stores, but even if you don't distribute through CD Baby, they put out a ton of content. They also have a podcast. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that they're talking about, and I think they're ahead of the curve as far as the marketing stuff too. Or at least their blog posts and things like that is really informative.
They've been around forever too, and like they've been pretty solid, I think, for decades now. I mean, they've been around since the 90s and stuff, which is crazy. And they have Book Baby now too. Did you know that? They're for indie book authors. They have
I need to check that out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it's kind of like a what do you call it? A publisher in a box kind of thing.
Do they do audiobooks or is it?
No, print books.
Okay.
Yeah, so they'll actually hook you up. They'll do everything like what a traditional publisher will do, kind of like, they'll hook you up with editors and all that kind of stuff. Stuff you could do now yourself, like as an indie author, but if you don't have the time or gumption to do it, they'll do it for you for a fee, of course, but yeah. Yeah, do you have any other plans for any new books, George? Since you're now an accomplished, successful, best-selling author.
It's funny. People always say, "Oh, my book's a bestseller on Amazon," but you literally have to sell like one book a day to be a bestseller on Amazon.
Yeah, I'm familiar. I'm an indie author myself, but I write fiction, and I was a bestseller for a day in one very obscure category.
As long as you screenshot it.
Yeah,
good.
Then it's legit.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to continue to create more content, maybe more video stuff, and I'll definitely plan on updating the book and kind of doing a 2.0 version of it, hopefully in the next few months.
Any plans for the Playlist Push podcast or anything like that? Or you
I don't know. I thought about it, but I think it's too many P's.
Yeah.
3 P's in a row.
Yeah, that's fair. A lot of plosives.
I've definitely thought about it. It's just, I don't want to start a podcast and just realize I don't have the time or energy to do it. You know what I mean? Because I know it's a ton of work.
Yeah.
And props to you guys for doing it.
It's a shitload of work.
Yeah. It is, but it isn't. You're like, we just have to talk into a microphone.
Right, yeah.
There's a little bit more to it than that. So.
Yeah, we got to edit all the crazy shit Andres says that makes no damn sense. And when I murder people's names, I have to go back in and punch in the correct pronunciation in post.
Nice. Yeah.
Terrible with names, terrible. So you're located in California, is that right?
Yeah, in Los Angeles.
Los Angeles?
Close to Venice Beach.
Okay, and that's where the company is located as well?
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
There's 4 of us here, and then there's 2. My business partner he lives in Amsterdam.
Oh wow.
So he lives over there, and we have a few guys over there as well. So it's nice because we can both kind of go back and forth.
Yeah, on different time zones. So while you're sleeping, he's working. That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Very cool, very cool. So, when we talk to people in New York, we always ask them about pizza. But what does California know about pizza? Nothing. All right. But
they have good food.
They do. California does have great food.
Well, how about this? Whataburger or In-N-Out burger?
In-N-Out. There you go.
Definitely say In-N-Out.
Okay.
Very good.
Yeah, for sure. But, double.
But
double.
He's a vegan. Oh, you're not a vegan. Okay. Cool.
No, me or what?
He's one of those vegan guys.
Oh.
Well, I think I've pretty much covered all my questions. How about you there, Funny Pants? What do you think there?
Are you talking to me or Andres?
Yeah, whoever wants to answer to Funny Pants.
That was a really good progression.
Yeah,
from
I think
from everything. Usually I like to find out like what kind of background people have and how they got into the music business in general. But yeah, I mean like SoundCloud to Spotify to. This.
That sounds amazing.
Playlist Push.
Yep.
Ask for it by name, kids. Playlist Push. Yeah, and then we'll hook you up with that fancy download code in the production notes.
Yeah.
Or I mean, I would just wing a code out there, but I want to like make sure it's actually going to work.
Right? Yeah.
You have to like set it up.
Or we could pretend to be your voice. Reasonable. You're like, just go to ABC download.com and
Yeah, it'll be a couple weeks before this airs or whatever, right? So.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
well, for now we'll go with cookies.
Okay.
Oh yeah, okay. Perfect.
Yeah. So we'll have Anders bake you some cookies. You're not allergic to anything? No wheat allergies or gluten allergies or chocolate?
No.
Okay.
Okay. How do you like them? Do you like them crispy or soft?
Yeah, a little on the crispy side, to be honest.
Okay.
Good.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he's making notes. He's for real. We're going to send you some cookies. We'll send you some cookies and some music and a fancy T-shirt or something.
Good stuff.
Well, George, thank you so much for speaking with us. This has been really informative, and I know our listeners are going to get a lot out of it because we get a lot of questions about this kind of stuff all the damn time. So, yeah, we'll definitely love to chat with you again in the future as Playlist Push continues to grow and conquer the music universe.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It was a pleasure, and keep me posted on that the release date on that album.
Awesome.
Yeah,
We'll start shooting you music and pestering the hell out of you.
You're gonna
good.
hate us.
Yeah, you'd be like, "Hey, listen to this. What do you think of this? What about this one?" All right, man.
Don't worry, I'm used to it.
Yeah, it's kind of your job, right? So.
Yeah, it is my job.
All right. Well, take care, George. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. We love you, and we'll talk to you later.
Yeah.
Thanks, George.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
And through the miracle of technology, we now have a coupon code for everyone. Well, not everyone, for 100 people to get a free copy of George's book. Just head over to slotifymethod.com. That's slotifymethod.com. slotifymethod.com. And get his book for free by using the coupon code COOKIES. COOKIES. George, thank you so much for sharing your beautiful book with our listeners, and thank you for being a nice fella. What up?
Yeah.
Man, what a great interview.
Yeah. That dude was super nice.
That was super cool. Yeah, and you totally have to bake him cookies now.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I should have asked, I realized.
What kind of cookies?
Yeah, like what he's into. Dessert. Well, I did kind of ask him. I said anything that he was
He
into.
said crispy.
Yeah.
Right, he said crispy cookies.
I mean, you can't go wrong with chocolate chip, but maybe you want to do something fancy.
Right, well, I could do like my double chocolate chip that's peanut butter filled.
Right.
That sounds good.
Or I could do anything. They're really great caramel filled M&Ms these days that you could put in cookies. That would be amazing.
Huh. Well,
yeah,
I mean,
there's all sorts of stuff.
You're the baking genius of the.
We'll have
group.
to do a whole episode on the cookies that he makes for George.
And have George back on.
Yeah.
Hopefully not like an anaphylactic shock from whatever weird. No, he is a professional. George, if you're listening, he is a professional baker, or was.
Yeah,
he's a
I was.
retired baker.
He wasn't fired.
I
we
am
promise.
retired.
No,
And
Yeah,
he
I
left
quit
willingly.
that shit.
He quit.
he quit to go on to play drums full time. Look at him now.
Well, yeah.
Look at him now.
Now-
Wicked sweet poom and a
now I'm
microphone.
super famous. So, can't you tell I'm very successful at
well,
drumming?
You're the most famous baker in the room. So that's fucking saying something, dude. So, yeah, everyone there listening there, why don't you send us a little email, redhotrebellion@gmail.com, with any follow-up questions you might have for George and just your thoughts. We'd like to hear from you about this kind of stuff and any kind of stuff, and we just want to hear from you. We just want to say hey.
Yeah.
You know?
Say hey back. Right?
Yeah. And we're on that the Twitter @RedHotRebellion, and you just visit us at idiotswithinstruments.com. Ask for it by name, and there's all kinds of fun stuff there, and you can support the show by becoming a patron, because basically it just takes you to our Patreon page.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So, yeah, it just redirects. That's our website. Our website is our Patreon page.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah, because
There's all of the episodes and information you would ever want about us is probably there.
And
right?
pictures. A picture of Doug,
Pictures.
Doug
you
in a
can-
sweater vest.
You can see my poom.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, in fact, we should just have an episode all about the poom.
It would just
be like...
Yeah, it would just be me rubbing it on my microphone for a very long time. It's not entertaining.
Like ASMR,
radio.
ASRM,
Yeah.
like the kids who like to put the bread on their face on YouTube, that's a thing.
Can you even hear that?
Wait. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We'll have Chris bump that way up in post-production.
That sounds
Throw
terrible.
the biggest limiter, brick wall limiter on that to make that as loud
man.
as fuck.
No, that
Make
sounds
it,
awful.
Make it so loud that when people are listening, they'll have to turn this shit down. Can we do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll make the rest of the episode really low.
Right, and then all of a sudden it's so loud. Like people just
Ripping their
ripping their
headphones off.
It'll be like whenever I play the drums.
Yeah. Well, this is awful.
Yeah, they're just like, wow, this is loud.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Good times then, everyone. So I guess that'll do it for this episode of Idiots with Instruments. I am Jim Tremontana reminding you to keep it simple.
Hey, this is Brian WWJ. Stay hydrated.
And I'm Andres, letting you know to please not play acoustic, because it takes away jobs from drums.
That's correct.
Idiots with Instruments is a solid arts and science production. All rights reserved throughout the multiverse. Please subscribe and review the show on iTunes or your podcatcher of choice. Visit idiotswithinstruments.com for exclusive bonus material and to support or sponsor this channel.